This is it. This is the right place. You are exactly where you should be. And we are Mainline Executive Coaching ACT. Mainline. We are in the main line of what leadership is all about and how to help you as leaders. We do that process of leadership development so that you can act with greater confidence, with greater boldness, with greater courage in what it is that you have to do. It's your responsibilities with your team to make things happen, to carry things out, and to produce the results that you want. Action. And then that what we do is we create better people, we create better teams, we create a better organization, we create a better world. When we're doing it right, everybody across the board benefits from it. So here we go. We've got a great topic tonight. I'm here with my partner, Rich Barron. I'm Maikel Bailey, and we're going to dig down into some very interesting things. And what we'd be looking at is this idea is here's what you don't know probably about your employees. A worldwide survey has been done 13 times, I think actually 14 times, by Gallup. And they've come up with the interesting results time and time again that about half of your workforce, on average, is disengaged. They're just showing up for the checks. They're just there for you to do what it is that you got to have them do. But they're not really connected. They have no real loyalty to you or joy in the job. None of that stuff is going on. And you might think, well, doggone these employees, right, Rich? Doggone these employees. What's the matter with them? Why don't they snap out of it, come to and get with the team and get with what we're doing here? But the problem is this. The reason that's happening is leaders, it's your fault.
Yep.
You don't know how new way to say it. It's your fault. So let's start in on this. And what we don't want to do, we're not here to shame you and we're not here to embarrass you. We're kind of here grabbing you by the lapels and saying, hey, wake up.
Yep.
This is something you can do something about it. So let's jump into this. Rich, what do you have to say as we start out here?
Well, the simple fact that we've got 50% of the workforce, and this is a global survey, 13, 14 years in a row now. And on average, 50% of employees are emotionally not engaged in their work. And so that tells us two things. Either there's half of the workforce out there that started their first day on the job and said, I can't wait to get in my cubicle and become emotionally disengaged from everything I'm doing. Or we have a problem. We have a leadership problem. And because right when it comes right down to it, it is leadership's example of engagement, inclusion, being altruistic, all these words that come to engaging employees and their skills and talents. Now, if you can think back at all those in earshot of what we're saying and what we're talking about tonight, think about your first day on the job at this company, man. You were probably really excited to start your first day, pretty nervous, a lot of apprehension. And if you truly went into that first day, into that orientation, and said, I can't wait to get out of this orientation and get in a cubicle and become emotionally disengaged, or did you start that job with high hopes for your future, high hopes for what you're going to be able to do in that organization, high hopes for hopefully they're going to see your skills and your talents and you can become engaged and help the company be successful, and in turn helping yourself be successful or your team? That's something you truly need to ask yourself. And if 50% of those now are emotionally unengaged from what they're doing, that's something that leaders seriously need to sit back and look at. And one of the things that's concerning to me is, do these people truly know, these leaders truly know what the signs are? What are the signs that your employees are emotionally checked out from what they're doing?
Yeah, that's a big deal. I know this one organization I've done some work for. It's been interesting talking to them that they almost plan, as it were, for their people to come in at a certain level, but then leave. There's not this sense of let's keep our great people here. Let's help them become even greater. There's a huge attrition rate. This is another company that we not the one we usually talk about. It's huge attrition rate, and they almost take the position of, yeah, that's kind of what it is that we expect. And so this expectation becomes fulfillment. They have that expectation, and here it is, the self-fulfilling prophecy. And so
Yes.
when you really take a look at that and think, well, what's going on here, man? Why would you bring on good people? I mean, you hired them, right? It was your hire. You
Yeah.
brought in what you consider to be good people with the expectation, they're going to leave. And the whole time you're thinking you're kind of cool. You're the cool guy or the cool guys who are doing all this great work, and yet people are leaving. That's a weird thing. So are the bad hires, which is strange because you hired them, or is it once they're there, you're not investing in them and learning how to engage them in a way that really brings out their best, that they're excited about showing up, being there at the office, being there in the warehouse, working, whatever it is, the manufacturing plant, whatever it is. What is it you're doing? What's not happening? What needs to happen because these people are smart and talented. What's the deal here? And it goes back to, okay, leaders, what do you think is not working? We got some questions here that I'd like to cover here. You sent these over to me. I think these are great. Let's go over these. Why don't we start with do employees rarely offer new ideas? What about that one? I like that one.
You know what happens when you're not having any employees not offering ideas, they're not engaged in teamwork, they're not engaged with anything that goes along with the organization, and they're starting to miss the mark. Okay, they become maybe withdrawn, and they're turning in they're missing deadlines, they're turning in subpar work, they're pencil whipping, where this could have been a ploy that previously, when they first started with the organization, even for a few years, very active in turning in ideas. Let's try this, let's try that.
There you go.
Jumping onto things, and suddenly you see them turn around. And you might notice a difference about them. They might be dressing different. They're kind of acting different, not hanging out with the same people at the lunch breaks, whatever that may be.
I remember this one fellow. We talked about this a while ago. I think maybe we never did talk about it. I think you and I off camera talked about this fellow. This guy was really upset about people coming and then leaving because they got 25 cents more for their work someplace else. He was really, really upset about that. And what I found interesting about what that was, how did he really treat his people? How did he value his people? How did he see his people? What did he do right from the get-go to not only onboard them, which is a big deal, but invest in them and let them know right from the beginning that they were valuable. They were hired, they're valuable, and they wanted them to stay there. And I remember I sent him an email asking him those questions. You know what I heard back from him?
What was that?
Nothing.
Yeah, let's break that down to the ridiculous. Someone bailed on this manager for an extra $40 a month.
Yeah.
An extra $40 a month, and they bailed on him. That's got to be something that, when that happens, it's too late to turn things around. It's too late. If you've lost someone for an extra quarter an hour, you messed up long ago. This isn't new.
Yeah, and it has to do with the culture, the environment, the way people relate to each other, how the team that already is there, how they welcome those people. They had some mechanics in, but basically, when you really got down to it, it was kind of a cold culture in terms of inviting and welcoming the new employees. I mean, it was very strange. And I think you got to take a look at that. So this idea of when somebody's offering a new idea, but they stop doing it at some point, the message is loud and clear. We really don't care what you think. Yep. We're not really paying attention to you because we don't think you're worth all that much. How about when the office gets quiet when you come around?
That's an interesting thought there, because what happens when you show up, if it's normally a pretty vibrant workplace, you might be able to hear them through the wall in your office, people out there talking, whatever, or on the production floor where people are usually talking back and forth and doing their jobs, and pretty happy environment. And you walk out there and suddenly people get quiet.
Go stone cold dead.
Stone cold. And, they put their heads down, they avoid eye contact. What does that tell you about your ability to engage with employees? Have you taken the time to get out there and be part of that group? Now, that doesn't mean you have to get out there and, throw water balloons or whatever it might be you're doing.
That
But
might be one day you do that a month, maybe.
maybe outside in the park, who knows, little team building something. But the point is if they stop talking and they clam up and they avoid eye contact, that's a sign. That's a sign that there's an issue there.
It's a sign they don't trust you.
Yes, absolutely.
That's frankly what it is.
Or
Because if
on
you're
the other hand, they're afraid
talking,
of you.
boss, come on over. We've been talking about this idea. What do you think about this?
Yep.
Just think about that one act. If they are welcoming you into their conversations, the reason that happened was you as the leader set the tone of welcoming them. You gave them permission, in other words, to welcome conversations, to open up the group and welcome this interaction, this engagement. And that comes right from the leaders. If the leader is not welcoming, engaging, and inviting to do those kinds of things, then that sends a signal throughout the entire organization. That's not something that we do.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
consider that.
Yep.
How about this one? Employees always agree with me, i.e. the leader. They always agree with me. They tell me I'm right all the time. I'm never wrong, except when I go home and I talk to my wife. Then suddenly I'm wrong. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah. Didn't Pink Floyd have a song about that where he goes home and gets thrashed within inches of his life? Something along those lines. But here's the thing. You've got a bunch of yes people around you. Yep. Yeah, that works. That means they flat out don't care what you think because it doesn't matter anymore. A lot of the problems they've tried to solve or a lot of the suggestions they've added in the past didn't go anywhere. They weren't engaged. No one paid attention to anything they had to say. And so, sure, whatever you say.
That's right. They're disengaged because why? Leaders, again, it's your fault because you're disengaged.
Yes.
You may think you're engaged, but if they're reacting in a way that demonstrates they're disengaged, they got that disengagement first from you. So what are you going to do about that, leaders? How about this one? Employees hide their mistakes. You talk about like pencil whipping stuff.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Dr. Edward Deming said this in his 14 points for the transformation in management. One of his primary points was drive out fear so everyone in the workplace could work more effectively and more productively. Drive out fear. Now, if people are afraid of making mistakes and, they make these mistakes and get pounded, that's going to cause a lot of fear. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. People are going to make mistakes. Even the most well-trained employees, and even when they're new on the job, they're going to make mistakes. And in a lot of ways, that's how we learn. Even if they're trained well, people are going to make mistakes. It's how you approach that with them and make sure that they understand what's happened and how to correct that going forward versus don't ever do this again or there's the door. Or you better not, or we're going to make an example of you if you don't make these numbers again. Train them, work with them, show them what they've done. Because I guarantee you, as a leader, we've all been there. We've all made mistakes. We're human. We're flawed. Not one of us is perfect, and we are going to make mistakes. We're not robots. The point is how you look at that mistake. Now, if that mistake continues down the road after you've done something with them, okay, then there's additional steps or additional coaching that probably needs to be done. But people are going to make mistakes. They really are. It's just how you approach that with them to correct that.
Yeah. Are you finding fault or are you building bridges of engagement between you and them? Are you breaking the bridges or are you building the bridges? And that's a big thing. And even when you sometimes have to tell people hard things, you can do it in a way that builds the bridge and in fact strengthens the bridge. The fact of the matter is it can't always be, sunshine and lollipops.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to be there to show up with the not so great news about things. And the interesting thing about that is people respect that.
Yeah.
And so this idea of driving the fear out, that's a real interesting notion. How would a leader, how would you do it, leaders? How would you drive the fear out so that people now feel a sense of, that they belong, they're part of the team, they're part of a great team, and we invited them in because we saw some greatness in them, and we expect them to now rise up to that greatness, to perform, to develop, to learn. How do we get rid of all that fear that encumbers and inhibits?
How do we get rid of that fear? By engaging employees and being present, being involved, being part of the solution. Now, I'm going to give you an example.
Good.
My background, a lot of my background, 20 plus years, was FDA regulated medical device. Now, in the way you correct a problem on your paperwork or a mistake on your paperwork is it was a simple line through wherever the mistake was. You initial it, you date it, and then you make the correction to the side. That's simply how it's done. You don't write over it. You don't scribble through it and then do it. Yeah, there's a certain way. It's just one line, initial and date. Well, this quality manager that we had, even with new people, that had not really been taught how to correct mistakes, would go absolutely insane, would throw stuff. No, seriously, I kid you
I
not.
believe you. I believe you.
Hands,
Little
belittle,
2-year-old tantrum.
yeah, belittle them. And of course, they were afraid to ever take anything to her again. Any questions to her, any training to her, any, can you help me with this to her? Nothing. It ended. That one time ended. It ended any future progression or relationship that this QA manager could have had with these employees. So, I mean, you got to understand where are you coming from? Where is this employee coming from? How do we correct those mistakes effectively?
When I would walk the floor listening to either salespeople or listening to coaches, um, it really is that level of listening really closely to what's being said. And oftentimes you don't really know what the other person on the other phone is talking about. But you can listen to the way that person, whether the salesperson or whether the coach, how they're dealing with it, how they're reacting to it,
Yeah.
and the line of thought as they work with that particular prospect or that particular coaching client. And if you have a real ear for it, you can almost hear, you can almost tell what's going on the other end of that phone. You really can. And that ability then to listen to them a few times and then go back and talk to them about, let me ask you a question. How's this going? How's that going? How's the point of sale? When you're giving the demonstration, or when you're dealing with this part of the coaching process, you can now go in it and now open it up with that particular individual. That is a huge thing. And to do that openly, honestly, with care and interest, and also in developing them, that is almost like magic, Rich. It's almost like magic because they can feel that you're interested in them, that you want them to become their best, and it draws them out. At first, it may be a little tentative, but after a few conversations like that, they start really warming up and they start performing at a higher level because they know someone is interested in them, their performance, and their own personal professional improvement.
I got a case in point, and it's in a book just read not too long ago. Matter of fact, the name of the book was The Culture Code.
Yeah.
And great author and a great book, but there's a chapter in there where he talked about this call center that was starting to lose a lot of employees. So they brought in an outside consultant, and they wanted to find out, why are we losing employees? Why are they leaving? So they did a little bit of a training issue. Okay, now experiment, if you will. They had a bunch of new hires coming in, and so they took these new hires and they split them in two groups. The first group, they simply went through the training with them, told them what to do, got them on the floor working. Okay, and it was a good training. They went through the training. The second group, they were asked things about themselves individually. Can you introduce yourself? Tell me a few things that you like. Tell us what you like. What and your aspirations of this. Then they went through the training, and then they monitored both groups going forward. So, I mean, it's a no-brainer what happened. The group that was asked on the first day in orientation a little bit about themselves individually, even though there was a group, even though it was going through with a group, outperformed the other group by 70%. Outperformed them. Now they went through the exact same training. They started at the same time. But why? What was the difference there? And there was no difference other in their work environment other than that an initial first day. That first day is important, folks. It really is. And engaging employees. Let me tell you why. Did you go home and tell your family, well, I started this job today, and I think, I'm going to be in a call center, and I think that, we're going to sell these kind of widgets? Or did you go home that day and tell your family, man, I started at this great company. I've got this mentor, awesome benefits, and they asked me questions. They wanted to know about me. They wanted to know, and this company's great because they're the world leader in whatever it is they do, or they're growing and expect to be the world leader in whatever it is they do in a short amount of time. And I'm going to be part of that. Ask yourself, what was your first day like? That's where employee engagement starts. Now, here's the kicker, Maikel. You can't fix this once they have one foot out the door. It's too late.
Yeah.
It's like a divorce. If someone's got one foot out the door, man, I mean, there's already problems that have happened down the road. And here's a kicker.
And the reason that one foot's already out the door is because they have been thinking about it for a while.
And it's contagious. That's contagious.
Yeah.
It's contagious. Wow. So-and-so, they bailed and they got this great job, and these people really like them, and they're going to be world leaders someday or whatever in the company they're at. But so ask yourself, how are you engaging your employees from the very first day? The very first day. And do you continue that, or is it just a facade?
So leaders, great stuff. Rich, great stuff. Leaders, if you're not working throughout your organization, throughout your team, throughout everybody that you're involved in engaging them, not just looking at the numbers, not just looking at, how whatever it is, but it is that relationship engagement. You're not doing that. It's your fault, because you can do something about it.
Absolutely.
You can actually transform your company, your team, by learning how to engage in ways that matter to them, that bring them closer to them, to their coworkers, to you, to just, being that person that loves to come to work. It may not start out like loving to come to work, but they like it and they want to be there. That's the difference. All right.
Let me ask you a question, Maikel. I got to ask you this question because you can answer this. How do these leaders get these skills so they can start engaging employees the first day?
Excellent question. Thank you for that. Here's what the thing is. What we really need to do here is this. We can give you lots of platitudes and lots of ideas and so on and so forth. But the real thing is this. In order to know what those particular challenges or inhibitions or areas that you're just stuck in and spinning your wheels, what really needs to happen is a conversation where we get you and we start listening to you and give you the opportunity to do some sort of assessments. So we can start reading you and start understanding what's really going on. Find out where you're great, find out where you're not so great, and where you're actually blowing things up. It begins with a conversation so that we can understand, just like we're telling these folks to do here, understanding you, listening to you, being engaged with you to assist you in that very process of bringing out the best in you. That's how that works. And I'll tell you what, if you're open to it, you're willing to move on, and you're ready to learn some new things, and you're ready to become the best person you can be as a leader, this is the place to do it. This is the time to do it. Let's get that going. Let's get the conversation going. You will be amazed at what it is that you can do that you never thought possible. We can help.
Yes, all right. Absolutely.
How do they do it?
They get a hold of us. Pretty simple. Executive Leaders Act, ILEC.com. Go to the website, look us up. Our contact information is there. Reach out to us, and let's talk. Let's set something up. And it does not matter where you are calling from. Does not matter where you're sending an email from, because we're going to do some shout outs here in just a second, but it doesn't matter. This isn't just about local help. We can, transforming leadership is horizontal across the board. It means it's global. Being a leader is global. It's not, we're not coming in to solve your company's problems. We're not coming in to solve your life issues. We're coming to help you be a leader. And that is horizontal across the board. It truly is.
It absolutely is. We want to say a shout out to some folks that have joined us in our downloading our podcast. We got some folks in Nigeria we want to say hey to, and also Kenya. How you doing, folks? Love it that you're part of our audience here. Wish you all the best. Something we can do for you folks, let us know. We're here to help. We want to make a difference because we know you want to make a difference. So all the best.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you for reaching out and for the continued growth of this podcast because of you. And we appreciate everything you do. So once again, hope you enjoyed this, and be safe. Take care, and we'll see you again next time.